difficult. There are so many different advices as I explained before. So until now, what I can guarantee is that I can make food taste better and I can make food that looks better. But however, how to really guide my daily life with the nutrition advice from papers, from scientific research, for me is still so difficult. Okay, so as a nutrition researcher, how could we provide trustable nutrition recommendations, policies, and interventions? There has been a discussion for a very long time, and there has been a lot of pathways suggested by our experts. Today, I would only present one of the potential pathways and my relevant work that I did during my PhD research. First, there is an instance. Imagine we have two types of study. They have all the same study settings. However, the first study took a sample of millions of participants and followed them by more than 4 years. And the second study only took a sample of 100 participants and with 1 year follow-up. And statistically, both of them have enough power to enable the research. Okay, to enable the research. However, which one would you trust more? Maybe based on the statistical analysis, both of them can give us trustable recommendation, but I would believe that most of people would choose to believe in the result from the study one, because it's a population and they have longer follow-up. And the big population may help us to minimize a certain amount of biases and finally create trustable nutrition recommendations. Okay, maybe, I just say maybe, this study with bigger sample size has a better chance to provide trustable nutrition recommendations. If this is one of the potential pathways, what can I do for that? What can we do for that? How could we track the different data over the world collected by different people and stored in different databases? And after that, if we have those data on my hand, how can we convert them, harmonize them, and combine them for joint analysis? There are the big questions in my mind, and I couldn't figure out how to solve it. However, in 2016, the 5 principles were introduced, which point out the pathway for me to follow. The 5 principles suggest 4 sets of principles for us for a better management of data. There are 4 categories which are to make data findable, to make data accessible, to make data interoperable, and to make data reusable. In order to make data findable and accessible, the 5 principles suggest some requirements that human and machine should be able to read our data by setting persistent identifiers, and data can be retrieved by human and machine after that. So if we can find data and if we can access data, maybe it's the conditions can enable us to track the data. And in the other 2 sets of requirements, the 5 principles suggest that data should be able to be exchanged between systems and finally can be reused by others. With those 2 principles and other requirements set under these 2 categories, we may find a way to combine the data. So, to conclude, the 5 principles point out the way for us for a better data management. And then it can be a solution for us to improve the data findability and then to use this data, combine this data for better, trustable nutrition conclusions. Okay, so I was so excited to find the 5 principles, and I made my first attempt. Boom. This is what I did for the first time. Okay, as you can see, there are so many points, there's so many information. Can I find information from that? Can I find data from that? It's not possible. Although I follow the FIRE principle, it's still hard for me to find data because there are so many. So many different kinds of descriptions and labels makes me crazy. Because I forgot one thing, to make data selection and classification. If we really want to find data, we need to select the data characteristics that can best describe the data and classify them. Only the limited or certain amount of information can help us to find the data. If we are trying to include every detail, finally we will lose our every detail. So the next question in my mind is to find a tool for the data selection and classification. At this moment, I find the DIKW pyramid, which represents the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom pyramid, which has been used in information science for a very long time. It's a pyramid, or it's a information classification system for us to classify information from what we observed to what we learned. Just a simple instance, if we can observe apple in our daily life, and we saw that for the people who eat more apples, they rarely go to hospital. What we can get from this, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So this is just a simple example to explain how we can set information we got from our life into this pyramid. How could we get human intelligence from what we observed in our life? For nutritional epidemiology, we have the similar story. We can also put all the information into the pyramid. In the data level, we have the data intake data, anthropometry data, socio-demographic data, physical activity data, and biomarker data that we collected from participants of our research. And in the information level, it mainly contains the information regarding our study method and study result. And for the knowledge level, it includes the conclusion that we made or generated based on the study method and the statistic analysis from our result. Another word, it is what I presented before, the diet health status relationship. And finally, in the wisdom level, there are the nutrition guidelines and the nutrition policies that are generated or decided based on the nutrition research. So now I have put all the information into the DIKW pyramid. The next question is, how can we select representative information which can cover most of the data characteristics for us to check and reuse? Let's start from the data level. Luckily, at that moment, I joined the EMPADASI initiative, which stands for the European Nutrition Phenotype Assessment and Data Sharing Initiative, and consists of scientists from 15 research centers in 9 countries across Europe, which aims to facilitate combined analysis of nutritional data from a wide variety of studies. As a researcher of this initiative, I joined the development of minimum data information descriptors and the data quality descriptors. Both of them are developed based on a serious literature review and a lot of discussions among nutrition experts. As you can see, the minimum required data information include several descriptors. Here is just a screenshot. The minimum information include 12 descriptors for investigation, 12 descriptors for study, and another 17 descriptors for assay description. They are all the really essential information and basic information that we should present and should include to describe our study. For instance, the full name of study, the country of the study, the description of the study, aim within the investigation, etc., etc. If we want to really track data and study all over the world, those information should be included. Regarding the data quality descriptors, we manage and developed this based on a domain-based structure. We have descriptors for three kinds of observational study designs, which are cohort study, cross-sectional study, and case control study. On the other hand, we also have descriptors for two types of measurement, which are the measurement of data assessment and measurement of anthropometry. Here is just an example of the descriptors. For instance, we consider that the type of administration is an important descriptor to describe the quality of data. We consider this is a descriptor that can be used for four kinds of data survey methods, which are data record, 24 hours recall, food frequency questionnaire, screener, and data history. There are 5 labels that we put there to better describe the quality of type of administration, which are proxy administered, self-administered and not verified by interviewer, self-administered and checked by interviewer, interview administered and interview administered using automated multiple pass method. And finally, to further clarify the descriptor, we included the definition of specific terms. Okay, now we have the minimum data descriptor and have the quality descriptor to represent most of the characteristics of data used in nutrition science. And now let's move to the upper level regarding the data method, the study method, result, and conclusion. Because people may not directly use the data based on what was the description of data. They may also be able to use data based on the manuscript and a study research manuscript. So it would be also important for us to include those characteristics that we get from manuscript and study content. At this level, the StrokeNet reporting guideline was considered as an authoritative guideline that has been used in nutrition community for certain years. Where STROPE stands for Strengthened Reporting of Observational Studies in Nutritional Epidemiology. The NOT represents this is an extension from nutritional epidemiology. The objective of the StrokeNet reporting guideline is to help researchers to report findings of nutritional epidemiological studies. Here is a screenshot of the StrokeNet reporting guideline. As you can see, all the information are listed on the left, which can be presented during in the study manuscript, including title, abstract, introduction, method, and also result and conclusion, and other information. And StrokeNet point out which kinds of information should be reported and how to report it then. Okay, now we have the StrokeNet reporting guideline to select information or to select the essential information that should be reported in nutritional studies. And we also have the data descriptors regarding the data minimum requirement and the data quality descriptor. It's time for us to make an evaluation. So I make a second attempt. Compared to the first one, the second one is much more clear because we only include limited amount of information there. As you can see, this is a paper regarding examining the correlates of meal skipping in Australian young adults. This paper have 4 parts, which are title, abstract, methods, result, and other information. And several informations has been included and discussed in this manuscript, which are about participants, data source, measurement, quantitative variables, descriptive data, ethics issue, and supplementary material. Especially as a nutrition study, we can also track the information based on the nutrition or dietary intake characteristics. For instance, the dietary physiological and nutrition characteristics are described in this study. Also, the dietary assessment method, the validity of the dietary assessment method, non-dietary data, etc., etc. All those kinds of information are included in the study, and based on this graph presentation, we can use all the relationships and all these elements to find our data. This is a nice model. This is clear, and this includes most of the information and characteristics that we can use to track and reuse data. However, the next question would be, how could we use existing information technologies to enable this model, to enable the description of the terms as well as the relationships, and finally enable the automated tracking of data and information in nutritional epidemiology. At this moment, I find ontology as a good candidate to achieve this goal. So first of all, what is ontology? Ontology is a set of concepts and categories in the subject area or domain that shows their properties and the relationship between them. You can consider ontology as a good controlled vocabulary. However, it's more than that. The ontology also defines relationships between terms, at what I showed in the previous slides. They can help to create structured information. Also, the controlled vocabulary the ontology as a controlled vocabulary, it can be not only read by human, but also can be read by machine. That means we can share information among software agents and let computer to help us to process those kinds of information. Maybe this figure can help me to clarify more about what is ontology. On the left, there are the information that we summarized from the minimum data requirement, data quality descriptors, and also the stroke data reporting guidelines. However, they are stand there as separate points without links. What we can do with ontology is to put identifier under those standard data and add a structure to link those data. And finally, what we got is put on the right side of the figure, the knowledge graph, or the ontology. Is a structured information with not only the terms, but also the relationships for us to follow, to track, and to reuse. What we can do with that? For instance, if we want to track reporting completeness of a single article, this is what we can do. With the links of the points shown there, we can start to calculate the reporting completeness of a single article. For instance, how many descriptors or how many items are reported in the title and abstract part? How many are reported in the methods part? How many are reported in the result part, discussion part, and other sections? And overall, how many descriptors are reported, and the reporting completeness of the single article can be calculated. However, maybe it's not a very good example to show the power of ontology. But if we imagine there are millions of paper, or at least there are hundreds of paper there, and if we can use the standard data to describe them, standard terms to describe them, and put standardized link between them, finally, we would have the research output that can be read by human, but also can be read by machine, with a standardized structure and standardized data descriptions. Those set of manuscripts will enable the automated processing, and may lead to automated tracking of research information. So, if we can enable this batch processing of nutrition information, what we can do further? We can do more analysis. For instance, regarding the reporting completeness, we can calculate the top 5 and the last 5 reporting completeness. Top 5 are last 5 manuscript. We can calculate papers with, the top 5 paper with the best reporting completeness are the last 5 paper with the lowest reporting completeness. On the other hand, we can also calculate the hour completeness of the papers in one database or in one knowledge base. Maybe this is not a perfect example of ontology because ontology is really a young field, and in the nutrition science, doing ontology work was quite a hard task because there's not a lot of research and foundation in this field. So after this PhD, there's still a lot of things to do, and still a lot of things for us to do to enable the culture of ontology. Due to that, I also discussed the future perspective of using ontology and applying an ontology application in the field of nutrition science. First of all, maybe it would be a good idea if we have more interdisciplinary researchers, which mean, in another word, they are the nutrition researchers with knowledge of ontologies, who can assist in ontology development, maintenance, and updates. If we only have information scientists, they may be not able to check the descriptions and manage of terms in nutrition science. However, the nutrition scientist may also have no idea about how to arrange ontology and let computer to understand it. So, as an interdisciplinary area, they need a contribution from both sides. I would suggest we have training activities for nutritional researchers to let them have the basic knowledge of ontology development, and finally to enable the ontology applications in the nutrition society. On the other hand, we also need to improve the quality of ontologies. Currently, there has been a certain amount of ontologies in ontology databases. However, few of them are reviewed by information scientists and nutrition researchers. I have to say the peer review from the information scientists are important because they can help to check the ontology syntax, description logics, and the reasoning efficiency. However, as I described before, the efforts from peer reviewers are also important because they can verify and correct the descriptions, definitions, and the relationships with their domain knowledge. So, if we have a good ontology and we have good candidates who can manage ontology, the next step would be to create a user platform. This user platform should be based on the existing use cases to make sure they are useful. For instance, no matter what request that we get from nutrition researchers, for instance, the data integration, model management, data standardization, or good data findability, no matter what kinds of questions we got from the nutrition researchers, we should try to find a solution for that. It's of importance, and it would get more interest from the current nutrition society. Secondly, I would also suggest we have a user platform as a European level platform or even an international platform, because the purpose of ontology management is to provide a good platform to manage data all over the world. If the area is too small, if we don't have so many data from different areas of the world, it might be hard for us to finally achieve the goal, to track the data from everywhere and to enable the data reusement. Thirdly, the platform should be developed as a straightforward and intuitive platform and have a low barrier for people to start using it. This the straightforward and intuitive perspective would help researchers to understand benefits of using ontologies, and would also provide minimum extra training and work for them. This is also important because nutritional researchers are mainly focusing on nutrition research. The technical part or information science part shouldn't take too much consideration from them. During the early 2020, the Food Nutrition Security Cloud, or the FNS Cloud, has been launched. I was so excited to find this initiative because this initiative is going to create a data standardization service to support users in tracking and reuse of data in the field of nutrition science, in the field of food and nutrition science. I hope in the future I can also contribute to this platform and to see how my ontology efforts and experience can help people to build an international platform to support the nutrition research and big data analysis. In the end, I want to say thank you to Ghent University to provide me a chance to do this PhD research. I would like to thank the Empadati project to give me the chance to get experience of data descriptor management and data descriptor development and management. I would also like to thank the China Scholarship Council to give me financial support to finish my PhD in the Ghent University. At last, I would like to say thank you to my colleagues and my supervisors. Thank you so much for giving me different kinds of support during the 4 years, to give me support not only from the research side, but also from the life, during my daily life. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chen. Maybe the YouTube channel started a few minutes late, so before giving the opportunity to the jury members to ask questions, I don't know if you can show the blackboard again, but I will repeat. So even during the official questioning, any person is not being shown, so it doesn't matter. No, just leave it. I will just spell out the name again, so if you have any questions, you can send them during the official questioning now to Karl Lachat, CARL.LACHAT @ugent.be. And at the end of the official questioning, we'll give you at home the opportunity to ask questions. Maybe we can lower the board again. Okay, so now we start with the second part of your defense, and I realized that earlier, because I didn't see the people in front of me, I once again forgot to introduce the entire jury. This happens to this in these online times, but I'll make it up now. So the first jury member is Professor Barbara Kurusic-Ciljak from Slovenia, and she will open the questioning round. Please, Barbara.
Thank you so much for the words. Thank you, Chen, for the great work you did during your doctoral work. Thank you for the nice and clear presentation. Now it's up to me to ask you several questions. The first question would be, how do you see the future of your work? How do you see the integration of your ontology with other food and nutrition related ontologies and also other semantic resources? So this is the first question, yeah.
Okay.
It's not clear. Do I need to give all the questions?
No, just one by one is fine. Now Chen will reply. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I reply now? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Barbara, for the nice question. So your question is about my future work about regarding the ontology development and how could I integrate this ontology to other ontology initiative and to use my ontology with other semantic resources. It's a very good question because finally, after we create our ontology, we should be able to use it. Otherwise, it's nothing. So, I created the ontology for nutritional epidemiology. It cannot stand alone, and only with this ontology, I would be not able to describe all the details in the nutritional epidemiology, because there would be some other aspects included, for instance, about food, about nutrients, about chemical compounds, or about pollutions. So, it would be important for me to integrate my ontology to other ontologies. For instance, currently we have several different kinds of food ontologies existed. For instance, the food ontology, which is used to describe different kinds of food and nutrients. And we also have ontology like ONS, the ontology for nutrition studies. This ontology was used to give the general description of all of the ontology studies. So, I would first put ontology for nutritional epidemiology as a subdomain of the ontology for nutrition studies, means mainly focusing on observational studies that we conducted in this field. Secondly, I would consider the nutritional epidemiology, the ontology for nutritional epidemiology as good resources to describe the further information or to provide the metadata of food items and nutrient items, so it can be used as a supplement of food ontology. And luckily, during this year, I also, as a member, I also joined the Joint Food Ontology Initiative, led by the University of British Columbia, and we are also working on other perspective and try to integrate my ontology to other ontology relevant to chemical compound, relevant to the environmental science. So this is how I could integrate my ontology to other ontology initiative. And you also ask questions regarding the semantic resources that we how could I link the ontology to semantic resources? Yes, it's also important. I have to say that there might be two ways, because for nutritional for doing this kinds of work, finally we may be able to enable automated process. However, at the beginning, we don't have a lot of material to train the machine to train the machine for a machine learning or deep learning process. So at the beginning, I would suggest that we have nutrition researchers who has domain knowledge to annotate those studies manually, or we can create a rules engine to try to use what we get to process the nutritional manuscript and to see the result, to give feedback to the machine. And later by later, once we have enough training material, maybe we would be able to enable a deep learning by providing those training material to computer and to let the computer to process those information and finally to enable automated process. Yeah, this is my answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. I see that you have your vision, which is really great. Another question is also related to the usage of the ontology. So, what do you believe would still need to be developed for domain experts to be able to use your ontology? Not only few of them, but you know, domain experts in general. What would you provide them?
Yeah, I think there is also a very important question. Thank you very much. I would think for domain experts, the most important thing is to get their interest in ontology. So there are two ways that we can do. First, we can create some applications according to their needs. Secondly, we can show them some products of ontology and to let them understand how ontology can contribute to their research. So there are two ways for us to get attention of nutritional epidemiology. The general domain experts. To get their interest would be the first step for us. And after getting their interest, I would suggest that we create some trainings and some classes for them to follow. Since people have interest, they would be able to learn those kinds of knowledge, and we should pronounce the chance. So at university level, there can be some lectures, training programs, or curriculums regarding to ontology set in this in different academic year, and also in the European level, it's also important to draw people's attention to create a training program to improve influence of ontology science in the general nutritional community. So I have to say, this should be it should be special. I mean, we should help to have a new generation of nutrition researchers who can deal with ontology and the nutrition questions. But as researchers in this interdisciplinary domain, it might be hard for them to go in deep because they need information, they need knowledge and information from both sides. They should be able to process some of the nutrition questions, and at the same time, they should be able to understand the information technologies, how to conduct this, and how to achieve the goal by using the information technologies. So I would suggest to create a special education plan for them, because it might be hard for them to go in deep questions, but the general questions, I mean, but a bigger scope should be included in their curriculum compared to the current education plan to nutrition domain experts or to information scientists. Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's not enough to develop some resources, but domain experts really need to be trained to be able to use them. But otherwise, I have a feeling that there is interest, and many nutritionists are already familiar with the concepts like ontology. Yeah, okay, then the next question, because you are deep in this field, are you aware of any study that has already followed either your ontology or any other, and is already able to produce data with respect to FAIR principles? I know your work was oriented on linking data from existing studies, but most probably it would be very useful to have also your ontology when designing a new study, so that data would be collected in the right way. But are you aware of any such study?
Thank you so much for the question. I think it's also an important question that I should focus on. Yeah. As I know, there are already some ontology initiatives existed in life science and biology. I have found the big publishers, for instance, the Springer Nature, and elsewhere, start to use ontology to manage their manuscripts. However, currently they only include the very general information regarding the method, the abstract, discussions, results in their study, in their ontology, because it would still take some time for them to really go in deep and to collect information regarding different studies, different types of studies. For instance, the characteristics relevant to nutrients or characteristics relevant to observational study design and the statistic and the corresponding statistical analysis. So it would still take some time for them to go from general level to specific level. Regarding my ontology, currently I'm in the step to integrate my ontology to other ontologies. For instance, the ontology for nutritional epidemiology has been reused by the ontology for nutrition studies and the food on. So after that, or after we have made agreement in the ontology society for a good integration of standardized ontology in the whole domain, maybe it would be the time for us to start annotate new studies based on our ontology. However, currently, to be honest, I think it's not yet the chance for us to start doing it. It may take, for instance, maybe another 3 months or 6 months or even 1 year for us to manage the ontology, to make agreement between the ontology from different subdomains in nutrition science, and then it will be a chance for us to start to implement it. Because just imagine if we start to use ontology to describe new studies, and after that we still need to make a lot of agreement and changes of our ontology, it will cause extra difficulties. So I would suggest that we make those evolution first, to standardize ontology, to standardize the relationship between different kinds of ontology, and then to start using ontology. It's still a very young field, and as I know, the first paper about the first ontology in food science was published in, the food ontology was introduced in 2017. So it is a very young field which has existed for 3 years. So, we should keep moving, but maybe it's also important that we give us some time to see how it can evolve and to get enough experience and feedback from users, from ontology developers, and the nutrition researchers to continue our research and to see how can we further optimize ontologies to enable the study description and the study management. Thank you.
Okay, I see that you're giving us some time to digest everything.
Yeah.
My last question. You started your presentation saying that you decided to study nutrition because you wanted to find answers to questions. Now, as you are very, how to say, as you are, I won't say end to your work because you're actually at the beginning of your work, but now at this moment, do you have more questions as you had, more answers as you had when you started studying nutrition, or is it any different?
At the beginning, I have to say I was very confused about the result of nutrition studies, but little by little, especially after I doing this research, I think there's a trend for us to solve the problem and to finally to enable people to believe in our result. I cannot say it's the only pathway. There should be other pathways for us to solve the problem. This is research. You never know what will happen. And for me, I really want to, I think we already overcome a lot of difficulties. And I already making some attempts to converge the nutrition information into ontology and to let the machine to process them. So I believe in the near future, I would be able to make some changes in this society. But on the other hand, I also believe there are some other solutions. I mean, after learning it for a very long period of time, because there are also some other working initiatives, like the global burden of disease. They have a big group of people, and they collect data from all over the world, and they can provide they can provide big studies based on the millions of people, and to generate good conclusion, to generate more trustful conclusions. So I have to say, after being a student in nutrition science for several years, I believe that nutrition science can provide trustful recommendations, and there are a lot of people are keep working on that from different perspectives, and I hope I can be the one who make the change. But yeah, it's research. You never know what will happen in the future. If we keep making effort, and one of us finally make the change in the field of nutrition science and bring trustful recommendations to people, it will be a happy ending of nutrition science. Thank you.
Thank you, Chen. This was from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second jury member is Dr. Yildo Bouwman from the Netherlands. I hope we can see you, Yildo, once you start speaking, because here you're covered by another screen, so I give you the floor.
Thank you very much for introducing me, and thank you very much, Chen, for your very nice presentation. And for me, it was very inspiring how you showed how interested the little Chen was in nutritional science. So I would like also to use this inspiring start also in my questionnaires. But first I will align my question along the FAIR principles, where you of course know that I'm a fan of. Your work, I think, is a very important piece of work, and I see it as one of the cornerstones of Empedasi. And I also liked your critical mind in the project Empedasi, where we have seen each other quite regular. So what I would like to do today is also look ahead with you, how to implement those FAIR principles, and go through some of the details of them. So my first question is about definability, because if I look at your nice summary of the FAIR principles in your discussion, you define how ontologies can help in the FAIR principles. And what was interesting to me is how you connected findability to ontologies. And what I saw is that you explicitly link this to identifiers. And I was wondering how the structure of, because there is a lot of structures also in questions, there is a lot of structure in studies, how also that can help, how ontologies can help in finding the right structure, the right information based on structure. So can you please comment on that?
Yeah, okay, thank you so much for the question. And this is also an important part that I should describe. Yes, so I have mentioned that the identifier of terms can be used to help manage the information. I have to let the computer to process different kinds of information. But yes, the relationship can also play a role. For instance, if we can manage all the terms, or actually in the ontology of nutritional epidemiology, I try to arrange all the terms in a taxonomy, so in a hierarchical structure. So that means if we put fruit at a higher level, I can put apples, bananas, except kiwis at the second level, and use relationship to link those two layers. So that means all the fruits, all the different types of fruits, they have the same natures described on the upper level. So in these cases, the taxonomy or the hierarchical structure would help us to find the items or concepts which are relevant to each other, or share the same natures, or same descriptions, or same definitions. So this relationship, together with the items, would help us to find the relevant items, relevant information, or the information to what we are targeting at. And also can help us to do a certain types of inference. For instance, if we have two kinds of fruits, we already have the study result of one fruit that, the nutrients there would have the potential to solve certain types of healthy problems. And with ontology, we identify that there is a link between those two types of fruits, and they share similar natures, similar nutrient content. Maybe by using inference, we can create another research topic, or we can see the potential of another fruit as an alternative fruit to make the same healthy effect without doing research. So maybe it's not a good example, but I just want to say the relationships will help us to identify the relevant items, and those items may help to create new research topics or new research questions, and also apart from the food and the nutrients, we can also they can also help us to identify new participants or new samples of participants for us to collect data or to do a bigger sample analysis. So the items or the descriptor or identifier of items are important, but on the other hand, the relationship help us to create more possibilities to see the relationship between them, to find the terms which are relevant to each other or opposite to each other. And with those kinds of relationship, these kinds of information, maybe it would help us to identify new things or similar studies or opposite studies, and enable a more powerful research or research from different aspects. Thank you.
Yilda, maybe your microphone is switched on.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, that was a very clear answer, Chen. Thank you very much. So I would like to go to the A, so the accessibility. I was wondering, there you very clearly indicate that there are also, you have the rural interchange format that makes it possible to help with the authentication authorization procedure. So if you want to access data, also these kind of things should be resolved. I was wondering, because if you're talking about accessibility of studies, there is of course also the legal. So could I use this study for my specific question, considering who I am and in which organization I work? But also the ethics. Could that also be resolved by ontologies?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your idea. Can you?
Yeah, sure. So if you're talking about accessibility of study data,
yes. Mm-hmm.
then this is also about, can I, so if for instance a study is described in your ontology, then the question is also, can I access this study considering the fact that I'm working for this organization? So if for instance study has been performed within AMPADASI, then the other consortium members would have access, but maybe of another consortium not. But also on the legal side, of course, the GDPR describes to what studies, for what studies the data can be used. Can ontologies also help in that perspective?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I think the answer is yes, because ontology is a tool for us to describe the studies. But on the other hand, we also have a lot of technologies or a lot of languages to help us to find ontology, to access ontology. For instance, for ontology and for accessing studies or articles, from different organizations. We can use ontology query language. Currently, there are three types of query languages, which are Sparkle, SWRL, and ciphers. So those ontology query language can help to manage, identify those information, and access the information based on the rules of the query. I have to say now it's not yet. It's not really a simple way for nutrition researchers to do it, because it still needs some background of programming, because as ontology query language there will be a lot of rules behind it, and it looks like it looks like a kind of programming rather than query language. So I have to say it's possible, it's okay in the near future, but currently maybe we still need to work on it to convert or to create some to create a higher level query language to ease the use of it. So there are already some in conclude, there are already some ways for us to access the data described by ontology, and we can query this ontology, get information, and manage this information by those query languages, which are Sparkle, Cipher, and SWRL. However, it's still hard for it may cause some difficulties for the domain experts to use it, because it still looks like a programming language rather than a human language. So I would suggest, as a next step, maybe research or studies regarding the conversion of the query language from computer language to more or less nature language should be conducted, and this would help more domain experts to access the studies that are described by ontology and different kinds of ontology languages. Thank you.
Thank you, Chen. That was a very clear answer. I was wondering why you were telling us about this little Chen that was wondering what was a healthy diet for him.
Yes.
And there are two questions connected with that, because the first question would be, what's healthy for them? So I think ontologies are, in general, and now more summarizing the facts, whereas maybe for me something else is healthy than for you. So how do you see that personalization can be covered by ontologies? And the other question that I had connected to that inspiring picture was, you were talking about the user platform, and there you were talking about the usage of the tooling by domain experts. But of course the main question that you started off with your presentation was, how does the general population use this kind of information? And how do you look at it? So this user platform, should it be usable by the next generation children that are interested in nutritional science?
Thank you so much. It's a very interesting question, and it's actually one of the next steps that we should consider. So the ontology should not only benefit the nutrition researchers, but also benefit the public. Well, I have to say, I believe that ontology have such power. Although I haven't done such research, but it can be one of my future research after the PhD, because it's about how to really let the public to create the interface for public to understand ontology and ontology relevant applications. So it should be a further start, maybe after we use ontology in nutrition domain. So we have several steps. We use it in the nutrition society, and then we use it for the public. I would suggest that if we want to really achieve it, we have to use another language. I'm not talking about like English or Netherlands or like Chinese, this kinds of language, but we maybe have to use a language that can be easily understood by the general public. So the general, so if we want to query that information, we should of course use another interface. I have to say the ontology help us to manage those information, but how should we present those kinds of information we can choose? For professionals, we can provide the information regarding the technical aspect, regarding the study designs, about the method, about material, about statistical analysis and power of the study. And for the general public, what we can provide is, I think, is mainly the relationship between diet and disease. This is the only information that they care. And maybe some other information, like the information relevant to environment, relevant to pollutions, because this is what may be cared by different kinds of people. I would suggest we would do different surveys to understand people's needs and what kinds of information can be understood by them and provide corresponding information for them. But I have to say the ontology would be always the same to help us to integrate and organize those kinds of information. But we can choose to use some piece for professional, for domain experts, and we can use some other piece for the general public. And we can use different languages. For instance, if we want to describe the healthy problems, maybe for the children, they have no idea about what is cardiovascular disease. We can use other language to say that it's good for your heart or it's not good for your heart. So we can choose. So ontology is also a good, and we can, it's also a pathway for us to further evolve our ontology, to create different labels, to let it to be not only human readable, but also to be understandable by different kinds of people. So it would be the future of ontology. And I appreciate your question a lot because it's pointed out the way for my future research. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Chen. I think there is enough to be done in this area of research, so I would like to hand over again to the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yildo. We proceed with a local jury member, Dr. Nathalie Michiels from the Faculty of Medicine. Please, Nathalie.
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Chen, for a visual presentation. I like it with a lot of pictures. Indeed, it's a promising field. It's a field that needs, of course, a lot of steps, and you did very important steps, but we will need more in the future. That was what you already mentioned. So I would like to look forward in the future, within 5 or 10 years, if I want to do a systematic review. Do I still have to do the hand searching? So do I still have to go to all the articles, maybe the 1,000 GITs that I have? Or will ontology help us in this systematic review process?
Thank you very much for the question. This is actually what I really want to achieve during my future research in the next 3 years or 5 years. My answer is no, you don't have to search by using the traditional way. I would suggest, based on my plan, I would like to use ontology to create a new way of a more accurate search. So that means you do, by using ontology, most of the characteristics of the studies has been managed by using ontology. So if you start to search study for your systematic review, you would only to focus on those characteristics. And for the studies or for the manuscript or proposals, protocols, who has been tagged or who has been managed in ontology or described by ontology, those characteristics has been attached to the study. So that means if you type in those characteristics, you can directly find those studies. It's a bit different from our current search approach, and it would help you to directly find the study that you want. Maybe there will be a much smaller amount of articles in your search result, but most they, I mean, I think those results are more relevant to what you want to get compared to what you get based on the current search approach.
Yeah, that would be great. So, do you have an idea how many years we would still have to wait until that would be really feasible in practice? Is it just a few years, or how much work do you think is still needed for this?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is also, I have to say, this is a simple question, but it's also a really hard question for me. I have to say, I hope, or I think maybe in the next 5 to 10 years we can achieve some goals. But as an individual, I mean, as a researcher, what I can do is to keep making effort and never give up, to to produce more opportunities, to generate more opportunities, to get more attentions from the nutrition society, and to make linkages between the researchers and nutrition researchers and information scientists, and try to promote the culture. It's also need the contributions from other stakeholders in our nutrition society. For instance, the publishers, the funding institutions, or European level institutions, and So I have to say, based on the trend, I'm so happy to say that there are more and more people start to know ontology and to contribute to ontology. It's compared to 2 years ago, it's already a big change. So I'm confident, and I believe that in the near future, maybe 5 years, we can make a change. But maybe it's not yet perfect after 5 years. But I hope in the future, little by little, when we have more and more people join this research and contribute to it, when we have most of the nutrition researchers at least know ontology and start to use ontology to annotate. We annotated their studies by using platform, or once we have the platform that the nutritional researchers can use without programming languages, maybe it's a time for us to see the achievements. So I believe we can reach that day, and it's not really far away from us.
Yeah, great. So that's the future. Now go back to today. And also not systematic reviews, but original studies. For example, if I want to start a new original study, and so data collection within the nutrition field, can you give me an overview of steps that I should take to standardize my approach, so that you say indeed taking into account quality, register at the correct places, already take into account ontology? Which steps would I take briefly?
Thank you so much. Thank you. I would like to get more such kinds of requests from nutrition researchers in my daily life, and because I really appreciate your interest in the ontology-based data management and the manuscript knowledge management. So I think the most important thing as a nutrition researcher, what you can do is to try to use standardized terms to describe your study. So instead of using the, or I can say, after you finalize your manuscript, maybe it would be nice to also check the current existing controlled vocabulary used in this field, and try to make a mapping between the terms that you use and the terms used in this controlled vocabulary, as the word controlled vocabulary. And this would be a very important step to make your manuscript can be identified by computer. And for the rest step, is not. I think there are also some steps, but maybe it's not. To compare the vocabulary and your manuscript is already a big achievement. If you can do this, I think from the aspect from the field in the field of of information science. The information scientist will help to process those terms and try to make linkages among the terms and to enable the ontology relevant applications. So I have to say, for you as or for most of the nutrition researchers, the only thing you need to do is to try to use the controlled vocabulary to describe your study. And the next part would be for the information scientist to make the linkages based on the vocabulary and to create the ontology network of these scientific articles.
Okay, so indeed it's first small steps that will increase the reachability of our studies. I have a final question, and that's more general in the fact that I'm interested in differences between countries, or even maybe differences between cultures and continents. So, for example, here Belgium, compared to your own, where you are from China.
Yes.
Do you know whether there are differences in this use of ontology already today, or in the use of open data or quality assessment?
Yeah, this is also a very important question. Thank you so much. To be honest, I may have no experience regarding the difference between China and Europe, but I do have some experience about the different descriptions or different data representation among countries in Europe. So, for instance, in Italy, in Portugal, or in Belgium, they use different nutrition guidance and different nutrition policies. So, and there would be some difference in this perspective. What I would suggest is to, if we really want to use ontology to solve it, is we should be able to identify the common features or common characteristics, or how to say, the interchange format between these different kinds of information. So for instance, if one country have a nutrition policy relevant to the sodium intake, and another country have don't have these kinds of nutrition suggestions, but have some suggestions regarding the intake of smoked meat and fish, we may be able to make the linkages, because maybe it's not correct, but based on my experience, the smoked fish and salmon, they are always high in salt. So this kinds of relationship could be identified to link the nutrition suggestions among those countries with different culture and different eating habit. So maybe we eat different food, but the principle under it is always similar. We should always consider our living environment. We can also consider what we eat, the nutrients intake. On this level, I believe we can create a common ontology infrastructure to deal with questions or nutrition questions among people from different culture, or maybe from different time period. Because maybe this is not question, but it's also something that I was considered about the time. So at different time periods, people eating habits are also changed. So the difference are always there, but with ontology or with such kinds of data standardization method, I believe, we could find a way to manage those data, to find a potential relationship between those data, and try to combine those data for further analysis.
Yeah, thank you for stating this issue of complexity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Then we proceed with an even more local jury member, Professor Jacksons. Lisbeth, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Cheng, also from behalf of myself, very nice presentation and also your work that you resubmitted. Yeah? I have a question because we are talking about different data sets that you analyzed also and that you looked at. So I was wondering, are these data sets already looking for specific subpopulations that we can have within our wider population? So I'm thinking to maybe vegetarian people or even vegan people or people who are more sportsmen, so who have another consumption pattern. So did you find something about that? And how to link it to your work, if you have specific target subpopulations in your data sets available?
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very important question, and it's a question relevant to the characteristics of participants. Yes, I have to say we have did some research regarding it, but it's not yet about the group of people regarding the vegetarian or not, but it's about the classification of, or we can say the summary of participant characteristics based on their anthropometry characteristics. So about their height, about their waist, about those kinds of information. Yes.
Yeah, so the classical information, gender and age and
yes.
body weight, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have to say is you had point a very, I think you have pointed out a very interesting aspect, and this is something that I should consider and integrate in my ontology, because for different people, I mean, for the vegetarian or vegans, they really have different eating styles. So
yeah.
Yes, so yeah, I have to say this is this is an important field that we should focusing on, and I think if I start doing this kind of research and or I start to include those kinds of information in my ontology, I will need an expert panel to help me, because I'm in the field of ontology. I'm nutrition researcher and nutrition research, but I may not have rich experience, to be honest, because I'm as an interdisciplinary.
It would indeed be wise to have this in future ontologies present, because we did some work together with some Belgian sports people,
Yes.
and they're eating 1/3 more than regular consumers. So it means that from nutrition intake, it's completely different. So if you then make calculations for the general population, and you have such a type of respondents also, then you are misleading maybe a bit the rest of your population.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, it's a really important question. Thank you very much. And maybe later I can also make the linkages between different types of people and to see to compare the similarities among them and try to figure out maybe the suggestion for one group. How can we do the inference and to make this suggestions also for another group of people?
Yeah.
So yes,
or maybe
really
a specific question to target this type of subpopulations.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Anyway,
you so much.
you were talking about a multidisciplinary approach, and then you were talking about people who know about data and data collection and ICT on the one hand, and on the other hand, nutritional people. But you know that in food safety we are also using the same food consumption databases. So this is also my point in our internal defense. So how to link up with food safety so that the databases and the ontology maybe can also be used in future exposure assessment studies towards certain contaminants or micro hazards.
Okay, thank you very much. It's also a very important question, and it's a point out way for us to use ontology in the interdisciplinary area, not the interdisciplinary area between nutrition science and information science, but the area between nutrition science and food safety. So this is also important. I have to say, ontology is a type of information technologies, and it always need human to teach them how to process the data at the very beginning, and later we can enable the automation. So, as as my answer for the previous question from Natalie, I think it will be also a lot of work that we need to do. The manual work from domain experts. So I need a lot of researchers, maybe from both sides, the nutrition researchers and also the food safety researchers. So the agreement between human would be very important before we're really conducting the automatic process. So
yeah, because now you see indeed you have the dietary intake, and then it's linked to food composition to go towards nutritional research.
Yes.
But then you should go from dietary intake towards food as consumed and what people are buying from food, and to make that link upwards more.
Yes, it's also something that the ontologists should work on, because ontology. The purpose of ontology is to link all these different domains and to create the interface. So I appreciate your comments a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so new discussions will be started on the Belgian food consumption survey. I think your promoter, Karel, will be also involved in that. So that maybe is a good approach already to see how far we could get here in Belgium, maybe, to make this better.
Thank you.
I have another question, and this links a little bit up to the previous question also from Dr. Hughes. So indeed in Europe we have, again, to make the link towards food safety, we have this Food X2 coding. I asked you also to have a look at it, and if this could be a good classification, or at the end, what do you think about it? Is it a good way, or should we should we approach it differently, or because we still face problems on that on European level also, huh?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is also a nice question. The Food X2, the coding system has been introduced since several years ago, and I have to say, it's a good and important system, and I don't think we need to make any changes. So if we start to use ontology, we don't need to make any change of the existing Food X2 code. The only thing we can do is to add the Food X2 code into ontology. So this is actually the work that is currently doing or leading by the food ontology group. They have started to integrate the code of Food X2 into their ontology to describe different kinds of food and nutritions. So I would consider it's a very good way. And on the other hand, they also include another coding system is called Lambda, and they use both coding system into their ontology to describe the same amount of food. So that means the food in the ontology world, each food item and nutrients, they not only have the Food X2 code as identifier, but they also have the Lambda code as identifier. So that means in the future, if we have maybe another coding system from China or another coding system from USDA, we can always add different code into the ontology, and it will help us to identify the same food item and nutrients based on the ontology, and help us to integrate this information. So
that's good that you answered, because this was my next question, how to link it up with other non-European data collections and coding systems. But it's still, so your colleagues from the food ontologies, they have to do it manually also, or how are they linking it towards?
Yeah, I have to say at the beginning, as I know, is mainly a manual work. It is a mainly a manual work. Yeah, this is from based on what I know. I was having a discussion with people from there like a month ago, and regarding this aspect, I have to say manual work may took a lot of time, but yeah, I have to say it's. I think it's important that we do it manually to make sure everything is correct. And if it's like we do the work manually for one time, and later we can benefit from that. If I start to do the automatic work from the very beginning, okay, it may save us some time, but each one small error may cause a big problem in the future.
Also a bit where I would like to come to indeed that it's Food X2, it's developed at European level, so we are with many different countries with all a bit different culture regarding eating habits, and maybe one type of food is known as such in one country, and another type of food has another name in another country, so then still mistakes may occur.
Okay, so yeah, so I think yes, this maybe also the problem that can be solved by ontology, like what I like how the ontology can solve the problem between the Food X2 coding system and the Lambda coding system. We can also find a way to integrate, or to put all those different kind of indicators from different countries into the same ontology ontology language, and then yes. So I would have to say that once we have the standardized system, the next step we can do to manage different systems, different countries, different culture, different eating habit is to adding different tags or to annotate them with different languages.
The users will be need to be well trained, and that they understand. I don't know, raw milk cheese, for instance, or other types of foods, that it's belonging to that category. So that will be a lot of training also to the users of it.
I totally agree with you. But I hope later by later we can make the ontology language simple. Because the goal of ontology is not to make the research or make the research activities more and more complex. It's to make everything as easy as possible. So I maybe it's not yet time for me that I can for me to give you a good example how we can solve this problem. But what I can say is what I can say now is that the only thing we need to do or the trend we can propose is that we can make the language much as simple as possible to let more people to understand it. If we can say that it's a problem of heart, we don't have to mention cardiovascular disease. This term is too long for us.
But still, I think it's inherent to how we behave with food in certain cultures or certain regions.
Okay.
We all differently, and we give different names, etc. Okay, these were my major questions. I give the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Lisbeth. Now we proceed with our secretary of the day, John van Kamp.
Hello, Chen. One question from the room here. So, thank you very much for choosing the topic. I think for me, reading your thesis was quite an eye-opener. Working, let's say, in experimental technical work related to nutrition, looking at this type of work, I think there will also be a lot of challenges to link these worlds together. So thank you very much for bringing us the first steps to do that. Let me start with a very general question, perhaps also quite practical. Here in the university we received all mails that young PhDs who start their PhD now, and you probably are aware of that, should write a DMP, a data management plan. I'm pretty sure that we have young people now, even in my lab, who are just looking now, how should I do that? It's quite challenging, especially for young scientists. You have been working now for 4 years and a half in a field quite related to that question. What would be your advice to them on how to start writing this DMP?
It's a really it's a really nice question, to be honest. And I was when I was a younger PhD student, I would also have such problem. Not really a problem, such a task to do. And I have to say the data management plan is awfully important because maybe it's not won't have a big influence on the current research, but for the future data management, it would be an important aspect for people to check, to redo their research, and finally to maybe to use their data for a bigger research question. So my suggestion would be to try to use standardized terms or to try to describe their data in a standardized way. So instead of there would be some challenges or some more tasks for them to do at the very beginning, because maybe they have to check a lot of regulation and standards that has been existed in this field for a long time. But once they start to using these standards to describe their data or to store their data, they will give extra power to their data. So like what like the discussion between me and Natalie, maybe it will be an extra burden for them to check those standards, but checking standards and try to using the terms or the sentence or the the way of, or the structure of the standard to describe their data would really make their data be easily findable by using the later information technologies developed also based on those standards. So my answer actually is very simple. Try to use standard to describe the data and store their data in an electronic database, and later we can use information technologies to really retrieve them, to verify them, and to reuse them.
Okay. Did you also have already contact with the data stewards?
Sorry?
We also have a data steward here for the faculty. Did you also have already contact with that person?
No.
To discuss on your potential ideas on that topic?
Yeah, I should be ambitious and talk about it.
Maybe interesting.
Yeah.
Second question for you. I wrote it down on paper, I also gave it to one of the promoters. When I was listening to your defense, I wrote down the idea, will ontology in the future decide what you have to read? It's perhaps a little bit a challenging question, but I'm also thinking about potential disadvantages. Or am I thinking a little bit too far?
No, I think it's a very good question, but maybe I need a few seconds to think about it. Yes, and okay. I think now I can say something about this. And my answer is yes and no. Okay, first of all, maybe yes, because ontology is currently used in the general in other field to produce the recommendation systems. So that means, for instance, currently if people are searching movies, those kinds of searching behavior will be recorded, and will suggest more movies for people to watch. That based on the people's searching behavior. So for ontology research, maybe that it would be a similar result. Once you start to use ontology to search paper, to find paper, maybe the system would also suggest similar papers according to what you search. So I have to say there might be some influence of ontology, and ontology may be able to help you to identify the papers that the ontology think is relevant to you. Maybe it's not what you, maybe it's a little bit different from what you really want to read, but it's similar. So I have to say the answer could be yes, because the ontology would use the terms and the knowledge and the relationship stored in ontology to suggest you different studies for you to read. But on the other hand, maybe the answer is no. because the ontology, the work done did by the work that did by the ontology is to try to understand your behavior, to try to take your knowledge into account. So I would say that ontology is just like an assistant to help you to find more studies relevant to your interests. Maybe there are something or some part can be decided by the existing structure set in the ontology, but it's still mainly based on your interest. So I have to say the answer is yes and no. It may have some influence, but I don't think this influence should be taken into account. It should be something that we don't need to worry about.
Okay, and a final question is about trend analysis, because I also see there is so much changing actually in this field also of ontology, but there are quite some studies who are interested to know as a function of time how is nutrition and the impact of nutrition on humans changing as a function of time. I'm wondering with this ontology, I imagine in the past the ontology was not existent, now it's getting more and more existing. How can I keep linking these data from different decennia together?
Yeah, it's also a very, very, very interesting question. And actually the answer, I think the answer can be, I can give you, answer can be easy or difficult. I think from an easy point of view, what we can do is to also put the dimension of time into the ontology. So we can set the when we describe the term and how we describe the term and in which situation we describe the term. So with those information, we will be able to know how the information is recorded into ontology at which moment and in which place. So if we have more and more those kinds of descriptions regarding the ontology terms, we would be able to, to do the analysis and to see to describe the trend or differences between different time periods. But the answer can be also, difficult. There would be a lot of things for us to do if we really want to achieve it in the future. Well, because to identify the terms, to do the trend analysis would be a new topic, and actually I didn't see a lot of research, but maybe it's my problem. I should read more and regarding to this topic. But as I know, there are two really taking this part into account in the ontology studies. There are real studies in this relevant to this topic in nutrition science. So how to manage it, how to manage the information about time, how to manage the information about culture, how to link them, how to organize them is still a big question. So we can, of course, we can include more and more information, but how, like what I presented before, how to make a classification of the information, how to select the important information to represent the characteristics of the change is still a big task. So I have to say, in an easy, as an easy answer, we can add more and more details, but there would be still a lot of things to do by the domain expert to make the information selection, to make the most representative set of information for people to analyze the trend, the changes in the field of nutrition science.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to the chair.
Thank you. The supervisors have questions?
No, I just want to comment on how we have done this from a very technical field where we suddenly find ourselves into a discussion more than a philosophical and more value-oriented, which I think is a nice progress in the presentation of today. So I have no further comments. Thank you.
You know that ontology is a full course in the program of philosophy.
Is it?
Yeah, I took an entire course on ontology. Fascinating. Ontology and epistemology, 2 courses that anybody should take. What is knowledge and what is the meaning? I heard there are no questions from
There are no questions
the public.
from the audience.
But since it's also a topic of interest to me, I have a couple of questions for you as well. And usually I do this as a chairman. Of course, a number of important points have already been raised. What I was surprised is your answer to the fact how many studies have been used already. I would have expected that no study is leaving your department at the moment, where these principles have already been adopted. And you say we are still not sure. Of course, you can wait and wait and wait, but this is still the boring part, to make sure that everything is annotated. Like 15 years ago, I was working in ontologies. It was already hot topic then, and the thing to convince your people to join is when you can actually make a discovery. Like the example, it might have been, you thought it was childish, but it was a nice example, the one of fruits. When you make the first discovery, then people see the use of these ontologies. Now I think you're in a difficult domain, because one thing that you ignored in a sense, well, you didn't ignore, you're well aware, but it's still being ignored, is the time dimension. And the fact that habits change over time, but also insights. We live in a society of progressive insight. Some fields are losing insight, but anyhow, we are progressing. So it's difficult to take a study and say what we see now is more important than what we saw before. Studies are contradicting. So for me, one aspect is missing in this FAIR principles. And this is a topic that is also very lively in the information technology community, is the trustworthiness. There's no judgment of the trust. You see that Twitter and all these other media are, it's about time, putting messages when a certain lunatic from the United States, oh, this is being recorded, a certain person is tweeting certain statements that Twitter is putting, this should not be trusted. And I think something similar is needed, because otherwise you'll never go to the next level. What is the next level? It's reasoning. And for reasoning, we use logic, which we also use for developing mathematics. But usually we can build on the past, we collect knowledge and we always go ahead. But here you need logics, which people do not teach even. You can study it in philosophy. Logic that can deal with time, so it's temporal logic. And you need intuitionistic logic that can cope with contradictions. Probably you'll find 5 people in the world that really master these topics. So I think there's still a long way to go to convince people you should jump as soon as possible to this reasoning step, because this is where the fun is. Like mathematicians, they don't collect numbers or data, they collect propositions, theorems. That's where it gets fun. This is a general remark. And the second, of course, you live in the field of nutritional epidemiology, but this is not the only field where you deal with studies involving people and lots of subjectivity and so on. There's another field, the field of medicine, pharmaceutical sciences. If we saw at what pace this year research has been done to help develop vaccines, but also the huge amount of papers that has been produced. If I probably is wrong already, were 40,000 papers, but probably already 50,000 with COVID somewhere in the title. I would expect that not all of these results are trustworthy. There was a time when wearing a mask was not a good idea because we didn't have them. Now we should wear masks, and so there's progressive insight the whole time. Has anything been done in another field? Because you're looking at nutritional epidemiology. Can you get inspiration from other fields involving human study objects that can help you advance your field?
Yeah, it's to be honest, as a nutrition researcher, to learn ontology and to try to apply ontology in nutrition research has made my research much more difficult. And to be honest, now I haven't deep into this field to check. Whether the evidence are trustworthy or not. But I have to say it's also a very important suggestion from you, a very important remark from you that I should focus on this. And this is something that I'm also confused. I also have a lot of confusions regarding this field, because what we are doing now is like about research that based on what they get from history. So I think I need some knowledge about this to use what we get from past to guide our future. So to be honest, I don't think I don't really believe that all the information should be trustable, because they are created maybe from a different place, or at least from the past. For instance, we have a newly study published in 2020, but the correct data may be from 2018. How could we use this conclusion to guide our life in 2021? So I think it's really a field that we should work on, but I really don't know.
But it's an important one. I will conclude with that.
Okay.
So you build the ontology.
Yes.
Not for the ontology.
Yes.
But for being able to do reasoning on top of it.
Yes.
This is what you ultimately want to do.
Yes.
So that reasoning will only work if you have in mind what can be the characteristics of your studies.
Yes.
So whether trustworthiness, time dimension has to be taken into account. So I would advise that you and this community already looks ahead. How will you facilitate reasoning? Because it might collapse if you do not think about it at this moment.
Okay. So it's one step further about how to reason, how to, okay.
And this is an interesting field that could provide a case study for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have used some of my time. Does any of the jury members still have a question? Actually, you have no time. Still, you would have a question. Then we already go to the other room, but you're already there.
You can push the red button. No, I will do it.
On this one?
Yeah, hang up there. Okay.
I have done it.
Yeah.
We have time to go to the restroom and take water. We'll come back in 10-15 minutes.
1个小时54分钟。
我其实声音挺大的，我嗓子有点哑。
那你刚开始讲的时候， 其实是你其实后边儿讲的好一点儿，我觉得你前边儿虽然还算有例外，但是我再是给我妈拍视频，我妈说你也太紧张了，来回货。然后后来就再发视频的时候就好多了，而且就是答问题的时候讲的特别好。
是答问题的时候其实就是有好多你怎么知道谁懂什么不对？一开始做presentation的时候我是真的不知道，就是
好棒。
你妈说我来回晃。
但是刚开始看不着视频能听着声儿。而且后来中间那上一修那会儿好像就好了，好像后来又坏了。sorry。
can already close.
We are not going to ask questions about your slides. No? Close them.
Okay, how does that look?
I'll do it that way. It's easier.
And they see, wait, now it's the good moment they see us.
So you should be at the right spot where people can see you. So I don't know what is the best.
That's good. It's the small camera there.
So, dear Chen, here we are again. It's my pleasure to present you the opinion of the jury. Of course, we have read your work, listened to your presentation, discussed with you, and after all these ingredients, we came to the following conclusion. First of all, that we will award you a doctoral degree that is different from the one that is in your thesis. I think you didn't read my message properly, but it's a Doctor of Bioscience Engineering, Food Sciences and Nutrition. The applied biological sciences are gone for some time already. Well, they still exist, but so if you still have a chance to upload the document to renew it, I would do that. Okay. But it's a joke to say that it is our pleasure to award you the degree of Doctor of Bioscience Engineering in Food Sciences and Nutrition. But we just don't do that for free. There are reasons to do that, and we first of all have all seen your written manuscript, the first version, the second version, and we state that it is of an scientific level that is internationally well regarded, as can be seen from the journal papers and quality standard journals that come along with it. Second is what happened today. Your presentation of the work was graphically attractive, clear, and we appreciated that it was with a personal touch. And thirdly, in the many questions, because usually we don't fill that entire time, and the audience did ask questions, but still you answered the many questions in a mature way, and we appreciate a lot that you have a clear vision on future research, which might be more complicated than you think now, but you'll discover that along the way, and we would like to wish you a lot of success along that road.
Thank you.
Normally I have some documents. I was informed that people will try to get in touch with you to get you the doctoral diploma. There's also an external sign of getting the doctorate degree. That's the hat that you can put on. It's also not here today. This is due to the situation we're living in, I guess, so you'll get that later on. But anyhow, before we would have done that, I have another task, because probably you're aware, or you should be aware of some statement that I will have to read, and that you can still choose what to say, yes or no. If you say yes, you mean it. If you say no, you don't get the doctorate diploma. That's the easy. So, a doctoral degree is the highest academic degree you can get anywhere in the world, and this degree recognizes you as a scientist with authority who can from now on independently conduct scientific research, preferably at the service human society. And that way you should take into account the principles of scientific integrity, honesty, accuracy, transparency, and impartiality. Trustworthiness I was referring to, that is missing in the fair data principles. Now, in your position as doctor, you will take up supervising functions. You will guide, educate young scientists, and when we declare you doctor of our university, we also ask you to confirm that you will continue to extend the principles that you were taught here, the principles of scientific integrity, that you will continue to carry them out when training young scientists and in your research collaborations with older scientists as well. And the simple question is, do you promise that?
Yeah, I promise, and I will never forget it.
Perfect. You will never forget that you promised?
I will promise, and I will never forget this promise.
Okay, perfect. I take the occasion to thank all the jury members for their efforts. It is I think one of the few occasions where the jury was fully present at both steps, which I appreciate a lot, and also the fact that you made interesting questions both times and in a constructive manner. So this was a very well designed jury. And since there is no audience, I'm postponing the applause. I suggest that all of us now applaud together for the doctoral degree that has been obtained by Chen. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Now the official part is over. There's nothing to give you. I have to extend you the best wishes from our rector and dean, who see this as another achievement of our university as well. I've already thanked the jury members, and now my task is finished, and I give the word to Karel, who will say a few words, and then it's up to you whether you want to engage in the discussion or add something nice to it, because you like discussing. It's be learned.
Okay, Chen, thank you again. It was my pleasure to supervise you over all these years. I think we have made a very long journey from a master's student to now you're finally a PhD. I think this is a big achievement on a topic which is very novel, which you have grasped, which you have made your topic. So I can only be very proud, and I want to see you grow in that topic for the coming years. I will be very happy to see your new, new efforts, your new outputs, your new dreams, and trials and errors in the field of nutrition. Thank you also for instructing me the cooking on Chinese and getting me back into Chinese street foods. It was a pleasure always to discuss with you cooking and to see you, enjoy good life, gastronomy, also in Ghent. I remember your beer journeys and your alcohol journeys. I think it's important if you study nutrition, you taste from time to time and see the benefits of the science we want to conduct. So thank you, Chen. I will keep it very short. We will talk later, but I think in the interest of time, I will keep it here. Thank you and congratulations again. Also for your family who are online, maybe if you want to say something to them, you can also address them in Chinese.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I will also keep what I say short, but I really want to say is thank you. So I really want to thank you to you because I think during my research a lot of things happened and I made a lot of difficulties and I have a lot of things to solve and to overcome. And once I have those problems, you are always there to support me. This is really my luck, to have you as my supervisor and to give me support not only from not only during my research but also during my daily life. I will never forget that we go to IKEA together once I moved to a new room and we buy mattress and all the other stuff for me, and I will never forget that we cook together, we eat together, we drink beer together, and we you pour me and the noodles, the food noodles. So I think in the office you are my supervisors, but I really consider you as my good friends, and it's really a long journey, and we get along, and we have a lot of happiness, a lot of success, and I would appreciate a lot. And also when my parents come and your care and your invitation and your care to my parents, thank you so much. And it's really your help and your support make me become an international one rather than a national one. And I enjoy our talking, I enjoy the conversation, I enjoy to speak English, because at the beginning my English was really poor. I'm not saying my English is good now, but I make a big improvement. And thank you so much for your help. And I know sometimes I'm really annoying and
it's being recorded, Chen.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, I don't mind. Sometimes I'm really annoying, and I also always ask some ridiculous questions, but you are always patient and helping to solve these problems. thank you so much. Thank you so much to to make me become mature, not only in the field of research, but also as a man, from a boy to a man. So thank you very much. I don't know what else I should say. Only thank you. Yes, thank you very much. My pleasure. Thanks so much. That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
And so I would also like to say thank you to all the jury members, chairman, secretary, and all the jury members to give me nice comments. And because ontology would be the field that I would like to investigate in the maybe next 10 to 20 years, even it's a lifelong event. And I found that myself really have a big interest in this field. So I really appreciate all of your comments, all of your suggestions. No matter whether, it's make some difficulties during my, they are quite challenging during my thesis defense, but I appreciate a lot. I think they are all very good comments. The challenging comments would make my future career much more successful. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you also for the jury members, Barbara, Lisbeth, Natalie, Yudo. Thank you for attending.
And my sincere congratulations from my side and from the side of my team, our team. So hopefully we will have also possibilities to collaborate also in the future. So all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Barbara.
Thank you.
And I would also like to congratulate you, Chen, and also Carl, for this very nice achievement. And I hope to be in contact with you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you everybody. Bye bye. Have a nice evening.
This
is
the end.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, unusual, but that's how we do it.
That's how we do it. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you. That's it, Chen. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I forgot the kids.
These snowballs. The
No
snowballs.
As for the snowballs.
Oh,
Be careful.
is that the ones you took at my house?
Yes.
Is dat een halve meter omhoog?
Ja,
You should have.
I
I thought so.
Ja,
You never made snowballs.
To be honest, at the beginning, I want to say something about the snowballs during the presentation. But finally, I think maybe it's not. But I put it, and it's the biggest picture.
Ja, en ik denk dat ook school op
Well, congratulations.
Nou, onze wereldwijde YouTube, Google.
Ja, bovenop de schoolstandaard staat het ook dat koers belangrijk
Ja, dat is waar. Dus dan, het ligt niet ook altijd in uw handen. Hè, ja. Dat is best gedaan. Als de Googles niet mee willen, dan wordt het heel moeilijk natuurlijk. Maar goed, dus als je verloren zo'n ding kunnen doen.
Ja. En ik heb gezien dat zijn vriendin ook wel op.
Ja.
Ik was zeker dat het was
Atmosphere at the end.
kan ik dan haar vragen.
Ja.
Where are you doing your PhD?
Where
are you doing your PhD?
At PhD here, and my supervisor is Paul Vandermori. Paul Vandermori. I'm in block B.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right. And what is your topic?
Okay.